Hi folks, my name is Ross and welcome to my YouTube channel, East Coast DCC. That one's for you, Joe. Anyway, firstly, apologies to my loyal subscribers, including Joe, Grant, David and Callum, for the time lapse since I last posted. And I don't mean a time lapse video, I mean the time that has lapsed since my last update, and basically work has just got in the way, so sorry about that, guys. Secondly, thanks to Jojo, Fee and Kirsty for my new t-shirt. There may be some more East Coast DCC branded apparel in the future, who knows. Thirdly, thanks to Kev Miller from the Railway Modelers Club Forum for my new air guitar for 2022. Who knows, we'll hopefully see that again in some more videos in the future. So thanks for that, Kev. And lastly, apologies to Pauline and Doogie for the mess that Matthew made when he hauled all his trains out of the attic. But as the sign says, beware of trains. And Matthew, get on and get that layout built. As I said, it's been a while since I last posted, and this update sees me working on the track at the back of the layout. And basically it's the two main lines that run through what will form the storage area. So I look at the track lane there, I look at some of the tools that I've used to lay the track and to cut the track, and I also do a little bit on cutting sleeper chairs and flexi track. Now, those of you who have used flexi track will be aware that when you come to join flexi track, you need to cut the sleeper chairs on the last sleeper on the flexi track to allow the fish plate to slide onto the rail. It's a fiddly job, you're using a sharp knife. If you are doing it, please be careful. Anyway, back to the update. I hope you enjoy. Before I fit this next bit of track in, I just thought it might be good to give you an update on where we are with the layout. You can see I've got bits of track laid in, still got some bits to join up. Most of the work has been up at this top end so far. And you can see there I've got the points crossings in, leading into the concrete track for the two main lines and the wooden sleeper track for what's going to be the branch line, just to have a bit of difference there. Thought it might be good just to give you a wee update on some of the tools and stuff that I've been using while I've been doing this. So you'll see a selection of tools there that I've been using. The trusty track set of tools to make sure that I'm keeping them straight. I've got curved ones, radius ones as well, just been tending to use the smaller radius versions of them. Set track cutters, which are handy for cutting the tracks once they're in place. Obviously the gauges to get the tracks separation correct. I've been using the Peco track fixing pins. They're quite fine. You do have to watch for them. They do bend quite easily when you put them in. So what I've been doing is drilling a pilot hole with a pin vise with a 0.65mm drill bit in it, and then carefully putting the pins in, either pushing them home with this countersunk punch or using the tack hammer very carefully. I have bent quite a lot of pins, been a bit frustrating, but you get quite a lot in a packet, so it's not a great deal. As far as joining the rails are concerned, I did get the Peco rail joiners, the SL10. I've been a bit disappointed with them. They're not working for me. It's fine if you just straight in, that's it, no mucking about with the track. But if you take the track apart again, they don't go back together again very well. What I have found though is that the Hornby fish plates, there are 910, I think, by the looks of that. 12 fish plates in the pack, they work well. You'll see there I am using a mixture of set track pieces for the back of the layout, and it's all Peco Streamline at the front. What I did find when I was using the electrofrog points at the front, the Hornby insulating fish plates don't work. They're too small. So I got the Peco insulating fish plates. I think they're SL14, but I know that's the track fixing pins. Anyway, sure you guys know what they are. Insulating fish plates from Peco have worked very, very well. I'm pleased with them. So you'll have seen some coaches sitting on the layout as well. I've got some East Coast coaches, and basically I've just been using them around the curves to make sure that my clearance is okay on the curves there, and been pretty chuffed with how that's come together. So I'm going to get on the track lane now. So down at the other end of the layout now, I've got the Hornby curved point there, which is then running into a piece of Peco Flexi track, and what I've done is I've cut that in line with the point here, and then I'll use a full length of flexi track there. And if I pan up slowly, you can see I've got that full length laid for the first track, and I'm now going to join up the second mainline track. So I fitted the full length piece at the far end. I'm just going to fit the fish plates onto this now, and then I can join this bit of track together. So just a little bit on set track. Those of you who have used it before will know that it comes in lengths which are 915mm long, which equals 36 inches or 3 foot, which is equal to 1 yard. And you can buy them singly or you can buy them in packs. The advantage of them is you can cut them to length to suit what you're doing. The disadvantage of that is you then have to clean up the ends of the rails and prepare them to put the fish plates on. If you look at the 2 bits of set track that I've got here, you'll see that it comes prepared with fish plates on it, and there's cutouts under the sleepers, and that just allows you to push the 2 bits of track together like so. Dead easy, dead simple, but not a lot of flexibility in that system, hence flexi track. If you look at the end of this piece of track, you'll see that the sleeper chairs run right to the end of the rail. So when we're joining pieces of flexi track together, we need to prepare the ends of the sleepers to allow you to fit the fish plate in. If I can bring that in, get it the right way round, to push the fish plate on to the end of the rail. There's a couple of methods for removing the sleeper chairs. It's a bit of a tricky job. As I said at the start, you're using sharp knives. I'm not convinced about any of the methods, but I thought I would just run through a couple of suggestions for you. The first method that I have used is using an X-Acto craft knife with a chisel blade on it, and basically very carefully sliding that into the side of the sleeper to cut the chair away. And you'll see with this one I've done that already. So you can see that the chair is now removed. You do have to be careful though that you don't slip while you're doing that, because obviously that's a sharp blade. The other method that I've used is to actually remove the sleepers from the end of the track, and you'll see in one of the later videos I use a section of 3 sleepers to make up the end of the rails for a junction into the slips and the points, and then to use the track cutting tool to cut the chairs out. It's not that clean, it gets a bit messy, again it's a bit fiddly, but it's probably a slightly safer option than using the blade. If you do decide to use the blade, as I said before, please be very, very careful. The way that I did it was to hold it on the cutting mat up against a tile, which gave it some rigidity, and then I used the knife just to cut in against the chair there. But as I said, be very careful because you don't want to slip. And what I did subsequently was found another way of doing it, which I'll show you now. So what I did was effectively used a mitre, if you like, to hold it in place, and this is actually the base from a Gauge Master TMD shed that I've got in the layout. I'll come back to that again later, and that allowed me to hold the sleepers much more securely with my fingers out the way while I cut in to remove the chairs. So you'll see there that goes in there quite nicely. Flip it round, and this is the tricky bit when you're doing the other end. Keep your fingers out the way and then slice in there and slice in there, and hopefully the chairs should just come out of there. Not the neatest, difficult with the camera in the way, but hopefully you can see now that I've prepared the track, the ends of the sleepers, to allow the fish plate to slide in. And again, I'm not going to do that just now. Oh well, will it go in? Yes, it went in. Be careful when you're doing that as well. I have slipped and put it into my finger, and there was a lot of blood, which wasn't very nice. And lastly, just a bit on cutting the track. This is obviously an offcut that I've got. You do end up with a lot of these lying around when you're using set track. And basically what I would do there is lay it in place, find out what length of track it needed to be, then mark it up. So we'll cut the track there and there. These track cutters are from DCC Concepts, no brand loyalty or anything like that, just happened to be what I got hold of. They've got a chisel on one side and a flat on the other, and the thing to do is to make sure that you cut with the flat side on the edge of the rail that you want to use, because as you'll see in a minute, and that goes pinging off. So that leaves a nice straight edge there. Does need cleaned up with a file just to get any burrs off it. And if I can recover this other bit that's shot off across the workshop, you can maybe see that that's left a sharp point on it. So that's not ideal for joining. So a bit of thought goes into it when you're cutting the rails. And that was the red marker pen, that's not blood. I've actually made up a little fish plate fitting tool. I don't know if you can see that, if it will focus on that. No, it's not going to. Basically from a piece of cut rail that holds the fish plate and allows you to slide it onto the end of the track, and hopefully not end up with it stuck in your finger. No, that's not going to work. Fish plate fitting, take 2. No, this isn't going to work. And fish plate fitting, take 3. And fish plate fitting, take 4. And there we go. Might put the outtakes from that section up one day. So now what I'll do is I will use the track setter to make sure that the track is running straight. I'll use the gauging tools and using them with the 67mm spacing to make sure that the tracks are running parallel. And then I've got a piece of track here that I'll trim to join the two together. So I trimmed up the sleepers to the edge here. I'm using this big spirit level just to make sure that things are going in the right direction. Use the track setters and the gauges just again to make sure that we're keeping parallel all the way down, and then line these rails up here. So what I need to do now is to trim the excess off those rails, put the fish plates onto them and join up the back section of track. and I think it's time for a time lapse. So there we go, folks. It was a wee bit of a fiddle getting the fish plates on, but we got there in the end. Used the width gauges just to make sure that these are running parallel. Need to do a wee bit of tweaking on that just before I pin it down. But looking pretty good. And just to test it out, I've got a couple of East Coast mainline, I think they're Mark IV coaches. Just push them down there just now and see how it goes. So hopefully you'll agree that looks pretty good. Finish this up just now and catch up again soon. Thanks, folks.